What do you think is the difference between financial firms that are really cracking lead generation and those that are struggling to get leads?
I think really you just want a consistent stream of leads. You want them to be as consistent as possible. It's quite hard to do with social media content, if I'm honest.
What do you kind of see the vast majority do that isn't necessarily giving you the best quality of lead?
To be honest, I don't.
Or what do you think lead generation companies should be doing?
Those pre-made tools before the meeting, well, before the initial meeting with the advisor is going to be really valuable. So I think building those little things that you already have.
Yeah. So we have Joe Akik, Wealth Manager for Professional Athletes today. And we're just going to have a little conversation really about financial service providers and generating leads and the problems, many problems that the industry has and has had for since the dawn of time, basically. So, yeah, I mean, you've done really well off your own lead generation, specifically through LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, tell us a bit about yourself and what you're working on and how you're generating leads at the moment.
Yeah, so I suppose for me at the moment, I've always been a big believer in the value of content, just because it's something I've always done and it's always worked for me. Maybe I started doing it a bit earlier than other people, and I think because of that, I think I saw the benefits quite quickly. Whereas I think with others, I know with a lot of other advisors, it's maybe taken a bit of time for them to figure out how valuable it actually is. But obviously, posting content on social media is free.
Yeah,
it's quite simple and quite easy. And I think luckily I've had enough people around me to encourage me to start doing it a few years ago. And that's meant that I think I mean, really, that's my main lead generation tool.
Nice. That's really cool. And there's such a big problem in the industry with generating leads. Like you've either got wealth managers that get it or they don't. What do you think is the difference between financial firms that are really cracking lead generation and those that are struggling to get leads?
I think really you just want a consistent stream of leads. You want them to be as consistent as possible. And I think it's really hard to do. It's quite hard to do with social media content, if I'm honest. But if you can sort the consistency, if you're consistent, what you'll find is over time people start to see your content, people start to see your stuff. And often what I've realized is it will maybe take even a couple of months before people will reach out to you.
Nice.
So really what my social media content is there to do is just to remind people that I actually exist.
Cool.
Because often people have seen you and they've already made their mind up that they're going to use you.
Yeah.
It's just being consistent and just reminding them that you're there and you're able to actually sit down with them and have a meeting. So I would even say the content that you need to put out doesn't even need to be promotional. It just needs to be educational.
That's good.
Because I think the right people will reach out to you as and when they need you and when they've seen enough of you to realise that, I actually need to book in a call with that person. Yeah,
I think that's actually a big problem in financial service industry is the lack of trust.
Yeah.
I think there's so many people that are saying so many different things and financial industry has had a bad reputation over the years for kind of doing a few questionable things.
Yeah,
so definitely. I think building trust and giving value is really, really important.
Yeah, I think those days are long gone. So I think the advisors you've got now are very, very different. They're very different, but also the regulation's so different. So it means that a lot of advisors I think are actually very, very good.
Yeah.
I think the quality's better.
Okay.
But I think obviously people don't know that.
Yeah, I think financial service guys are so good at their job.
Yeah.
That's all they do, and they feel like the only way to grow is to just do a good job.
Yeah.
And that means that you end up relying on referrals.
Yeah.
And although referrals are still hands down the best method of lead generation, because you'll probably convert them at 80-90%.
Yeah.
It's not like Scalable. You can't turn it on and off.
Yeah.
You know, one month you might get 10 referrals, another you might get 0, and you can't really grow a business on referrals.
It's really inconsistent, and it really depends because you've got more you've got some clients that are going to be more willing than others to refer you to people. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
And you might do you know what I mean? You might do an amazing job for maybe 2 different clients, but one of them will probably give you more leads than the other.
Yeah.
It's not something you can calculate or rely on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what we're seeing that works really well is building like a scalable acquisition system that has multiple different touch points, because like people are everywhere all the time at the moment. It's not just like a traditional like funnel anymore.
Yeah.
When you talk about like the word funnel, and having a really good offer and educational content are the two biggest factors. Getting people to understand and bringing them into your ecosystem, and then capturing their data somehow. So things like PDFs, calculators, dynamic kind of forms that allow you to give value first. So something really cool we've done with one of our clients, Checkmate Wealth, is we've built them a custom calculator that they can give to prospects, and their prospects can type in their asset value, how much income they make, and then they'll have a dynamic wealth strategy that will show them that this is what they should save in inheritance tax and capital gains over a 10-year or 20-year period, compared to if they kind of stay where they are. And obviously that's not doing a financial advisor's job, but it's starting to open a prospect's mind to like, I know I need to save tax, but I didn't realise I could be losing out on over £1 million over a 10-year period.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I suppose educating the actual prospect on what value you can provide.
Yeah.
Because often I think having that as like a pre-made tool is really valuable.
Yeah.
Because I had a call today, for example. I mean, I don't have any pre-made tools. I literally just get people to just book in. Just here's my link, book in. And then I'll do an initial call to essentially speak to them, and qualify them, and to see if I'm going to work with them effectively and whether I'm the right fit.
Okay.
So I spoke with the client today and quickly realised this client kind of thought he knew everything, and very quickly realised actually there's so much stuff here that I've not thought about that you can now also help me with as well. So I think there's also that aspect as well. It's educating the client on what you can actually do, because a lot of them don't understand the full extent of what you can really do. And it's only when you maybe start to point out a lot of these things. So having it pre-done before the call, I think will probably convert a lot more people.
Yeah. So you've worked with lead generation providers before,
Yeah.
right? What do you kind of see the vast majority do that isn't necessarily giving you the best quality of leads?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't really like them.
Yeah.
I don't really like them. And the reason is because I have such a unique type of client that I work with, often, it's just really hard to get that. But also as well, because I don't think they qualify them properly.
Yeah.
I don't think they qualify the leads properly. I think they are basically checking whether they've got a pulse or not, and that's it.
Yeah, nice.
Because often when I have gotten calls with these prospects, what you quickly realise is actually this is just not going to work.
Yeah.
Often because maybe the client just wants something done via like execution only, so they just want advice from you basically once.
Fine.
And then that's kind of it, and that's just not how I work.
Yeah.
I want a long-term relationship with these clients. So if I ever get someone messaging me saying, oh, can you do this as like a one-off, I'm like, no.
How do you think you could better qualify those leads coming in? Or what do you think lead generation companies should be doing?
I think those pre-made tools before the meeting, before the initial meeting with the advisor, is going to be really valuable. So I think building those little things that you already have, I think are going to do a lot.
Yeah.
But also as well, it means that you can, because ultimately as well, you're going to waste your time speaking to these people if they're not useful. Ultimately, with the amount of, I suppose, like admin responsibilities an advisor has at the moment, you want to reduce the amount of time you spend on things, because you just do.
Yeah.
You obviously, it sounds really obvious, but you want to work more efficiently and leverage that properly, and get more for doing that, which I think makes complete sense. So I think having all these pre-made tools that are just almost like done for me, I think are really valuable, like what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think what we see working really well, again, is moving away from the reliance of just relying on referrals, building out a tool that pre-qualifies without that initial conversation being needed, and then bringing a load of qualified traffic to that. And the way we do that is we're using paid media, so using different social media platforms. I know you're saying posting on social media, really important to have that base, but also building out really strong offers that call out to who your ideal customer is. So you, for example, want to work with professional athletes, and by you calling out you want to speak to professional athletes, you're speaking to one particular type of person.
Yeah.
So you have much more higher chance of that kind of person interacting and feeling like you're solving their pain point and you're talking to them.
Yeah.
Because like you actually are.
Yeah.
And then what you're then going to do is bring them through a tailored calculator or kind of pre-built funnel that's going to pre-qualify them, ask them some questions, and then allow them to book in with you. So you're going into that call with a lot more information, you're actually armed a lot better.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a lot of steps, and it is, but what that does is it reduces the amount of no-shows you have, firstly, but also reduces the amount of low-quality leads you have.
Yeah.
It's all about like quality over quantity
Yeah.
for us to start with. And then once you've got that, you kind of really start scaling it. Because the lifetime value for a good client to a financial advisor, to a broker, to a mortgage company, whatever that might be, is really, really high. So it's all about quality, in my opinion. And then once you have that quality, you can then start scaling up and testing different angles and testing different ideal customers. Because I think a lot of people are scared about like speaking to one type of customer, and you don't have to close your whole business off to every type of customer. Just write specific campaigns that talk to specific type of people, like those entering retirement. That would be a really good campaign. Young families that care about life insurance, professional athletes that have a very short career. Having tailored campaigns to tailored people will just improve the effectiveness of your campaign, because you're really talking to the ideal customer and you can solve their pain points.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think a lot of people get quite scared about niching down.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of value in it.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of value in it because I think more than ever, you need your audience to understand exactly who you're speaking to.
Yeah.
And I think by also them running that through campaigns, I think is incredible, because there's something for every kind of client that you want to work with. So ultimately, they're already very engaged when they're going into those first initial meetings with you.
Yeah, exactly right. So another big problem we see when working with financial service firms is they just don't have the time or the skill set to actually run effective campaigns. They do think that just posting on LinkedIn, throwing out a few things on Instagram is going to get them a load of leads because they see someone doing that, when it's just not the case. And working with a company that really understands psychology and data from a marketing perspective, it allows the financial firms to do what they're really good at, which is serving their clients, reinvesting that money back into building out an outbound engine that's bringing them loads of qualified leads. And it just means they don't have to learn the skill themselves. And don't get me wrong, there's some guys that want to learn it and want to do it, but there's also some guys that want to run their own pensions and run their own investment. And you know how it is from your end. Like, there's so many pitfalls that you could fall into. There's so much value in someone like yourself that works with a breadth of different clients that you can learn. You can take your learnings from one client and bring it to another, for example. So that is where I see a massive value in working with good lead generation companies.
I completely agree. Because also as well, I mean, I didn't become a financial advisor to become like a marketing expert, because I didn't.
Yeah.
Like, I became a financial advisor so I could actually look after clients and spend time with them. The last thing I want to do is actually spend a load of time doing marketing, if I'm really honest. Even though it's a very important part, it's something I would much rather outsource to somebody else, because I don't really want to sit and do it myself. And also, it's not a good use of my, even though it's valuable, it's not the best use of my time, because I know that I can get someone to do a lot of this for me that's obviously going to be much better.
Definitely. And I think the time that it will take you to test things, to actually learn how to build things out, to create all the content, to build out all the campaigns, you could serve 10 clients in that time. So you really got to weigh up, like, what is the cost of, it's not really a cost, I don't think. It's the same as working with a good financial advisor, right? Working with a good tax planner or financial advisor, you're investing in saving future headaches or protecting your wealth. I feel like it's very similar. And I think a lot of people get that wrong. Like, they say, oh, that's going to cost me a couple £1,000. Well, if you understand that for every £1 you put in, £5 comes out, once you get the kind of engine moving, it becomes a no-brainer. And I think that's where a lot of lead generation companies go wrong. They're just running simple Facebook ads with the same ad creatives, giving you the leads on a Google spreadsheet and saying, there you go, Joe Blogs showed interest because he filled out a Facebook form, which is super easy to do now.
Yeah.
That you just get so much unqualified rubbish kind of quality.
Yeah. I think that, I know I'll come back to it again, but I think that emphasis on qualifying the client is really important. And I think a lot of lead generation companies just don't do it properly.
Yeah.
They really don't.
I think that's why we were so keen on building a system that not only pre-qualifies, but also ensures that we have multiple touch points afterwards.
Yeah.
So we basically segment based on how the conversation goes. So we deal with everything up until our clients obviously try and close their clients, right? Because otherwise, that's what they're best at. And then off the back of that, depending on how the call goes, our client will then segment them into the CRM that we build out for them, depending on how the call goes. Obviously, they might need to follow up, they might close, etc., and then they go for an automated sequence that essentially will keep touch points with them. So just kind of follow up with them. It might add them to a nurture sequence because, as you know, in your industry, and sometimes in ours as well, the sales cycle can be really long.
Yeah.
Because you know how it is. It takes 18 months really to get ready to sell a business, so that you're financially ready to do so. And people just might not be ready. They've got loads of key stakeholders involved, and you need to keep that multiple touch points, which is also then where organic content also comes involved, so that people can just keep you top of mind.
Yeah, especially, with a lot of the stuff that people come into me with, it's complex problems. And complex problems often don't have a straightforward solution. So selling a business, for example, is a really long process. There's a lot of thought that needs to go into that. That's not a off-the-cuff decision at all. So I think also keeping the client actually engaged with the whole process and having those touch points is really valuable.
Nice.
Because I think it's just a reminder that I'm here, I'm still listening, and I'm still available for you to speak to.
Yeah.
I think that that presence is important.
Yeah, and that's why also we build assets around our clients. So there's two reasons we do that. One, because it adds a sense of professionalism and it provides their prospects with better things, right? So let's say we generate a lead today and they're still in a sales cycle for the next 3 months. To keep a touch point, we help them build out white papers that look at how the industry is changing or the impact of tax implications that the government are bringing in, and we help them craft essentially key documentation to send out to existing clients and use them as lead captures for new ones. And also what that does is it gives them the assets to own after they work with us. So a lot of companies, you get your numbers on a spreadsheet, they're either good or they're bad, and that's basically it. Whereas we're building out engines that companies actually own. So they can decide to amicably stop working with us, shake hands, go our separate ways. We're not going to stop everything and rip it all out. We're kind of more like architects and builders going into the company, acting as a partner, building out the assets for them. Obviously controlling and maintaining the assets whilst we are working with them. And when we're not, we just walk away and allow them to keep their assets running. And I actually do see it like buying a property as a person looking at an investment. You buy the property today, and assuming it's a good property, you make money straight away, but also it keeps just paying you dividends over the long run and increasing in value. That's what a good portfolio of assets around your business actually does. And it also, as you know from selling businesses, right, the more IP that the business owns, the better systems that the business owns, the better technology the business owns, the more valuable it becomes. So if you have a strong marketing engine that you own, and the business can generate high quality leads even when the founder steps away, which right now most financial service firms are so reliant on the founder that as soon as they go on holiday with their family or go on a golf trip with their friends, leads are drying up. We basically remove that founder dependence, so it's actually a business as opposed to an outfit that relies so much on the financial director or the key director.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. That's a really good point, because I think the problem is, realistically, you do spend a lot of time generating your own stuff.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately, to build a really sustainable business, you need to look at building a really sustainable system that's going to keep working for you. And I think that's what Yeah, that's what I like about what you're doing with this and where you're going with it.
Yeah.
Because I think having those assets is going to be really important, especially when there's so much admin to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much other stuff that I kind of need to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's ideally something that just works for me.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a no-brainer as to why I'd use it.
Yeah.
It just makes a lot of sense, and it feels quite right, especially if it's still generating like quality prospects.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the most important thing about this whole thing as well. I don't want loads of numbers,
Mm-hmm.
because I just don't. I want clients that I can actually work with properly and actually enjoy working with, and I want the time to actually sit and do stuff with them. I don't want to be jumping from one meeting to the next.
Yeah.
I want to be able to service all my clients properly, but also like efficiently as well.
I think there's so much power in having headspace as well. And I think that's also what we give back to the directors, the marketing managers, if they are one, because we're not a marketing agency, we're a lead generation specialist, we're growth partners. So we actually work in tandem with most of our clients' marketing teams, as they act as like the bridge between us and the company typically. But what we essentially want to do is free up that space, because the less time you do on admin and less time you do on generating your leads, the more time you're thinking about your clients.
Yeah.
And even in those intangible moments where you're in the gym or you're walking the dog or whatever it might be, and you think, oh, we structured John like this. If we also added this element, not only do we add more value to him, we add more top line to the business.
Yeah.
And it works so well because you can actually go away and put a strategy together off your own back, use a few hours putting together a detailed plan to bring back to your client and say, we thought about it and we can do X, Y, and Z. This is how much it'll cost you and this is what it'll make you over the long term, or however you articulate that value. And I don't think you can do that when you're juggling multiple different plates. Like, you're much better off having almost like a small team of specialists that are doing one thing that they're extremely good at, and you allow all lead generation and growth activities with us, and we act as like a fractional team. We work as a growth partner with your firm, and we ensure that that's not a problem for you at any point. What is your opinion on where the industry is going who do you think in the next 5 years wins when it comes to lead generation in the financial service industry?
I think the people that are able to do it effortlessly,
Mm-hmm.
that's who's going to win.
Nice.
And what I mean by that is, it's something you can spend a lot of time doing. If you're able to do it quickly and effectively, you're going to win. You are going to win. But I think also as well, I think there's an emphasis on having quality clients as well, just because of the way that consumer duty is going and a lot of the new regulation is kind of headed. I think they're the people that are going to win.
And I think the only way that you can win in that environment is having a scalable system.
Yeah.
That you have to go through a large number
Yeah.
to kind of filter out and basically pick the gold that makes the most sense.
And I think, I mean, to be honest, like I don't think a lot of advisors have time to be trying and testing and fiddling around with stuff. They just want something that works, something that just goes and just kind of runs on its own while you do the more important stuff in the background.
Yeah. I think as well with obviously you can't really talk about anything without talking about like technology and AI at the moment. And as these systems get better and they start taking work, like more mundane work away, I do think that client relationship becomes more and more important. And just doing a good job for your clients, whether it's us as an agency or you guys as financial advisors. And again, the only way you can do that is by just doing what you're good at and not worrying about the things you're not good at.
I think at the higher level, I think there's always going to be that human interaction that's going to be there. I think a really good example is obviously, a really good example is probably like 5-star hotels don't need doormen.
Yeah.
You don't need someone to open the door for you, because you can probably open it yourself. But it's a really nice touch to have when you do go to a hotel and a door's open for you.
Yeah.
I think it's quite a nice thing.
Yeah, it's all those intangibles that add to it's the experience.
Yeah.
That's what I think it is, and I think financial services is a service.
Yeah,
Lead generation is a service,
Yeah.
and it should be.
It should always be that way. It should never be. I don't think it should ever really be transactional. It needs to be an experience, and especially when you're dealing with people's money, people's like private wealth. You need to actually be sitting down and having real human discussions, because from my experience, a lot of the numbers kind of go out the window very quickly when you actually sit down with someone and actually figure out what do you actually want. Because often it's no one has a set figure in mind when they're talking about a lot of this stuff. When you dig to the bottom of whatever objective or goal that they have, it's often very emotionally driven.
Right.
And that's what you're really trying to figure out.
Nice. It's really good. And I think the experience and the nuance is super important as well. And that's another thing, like with like cookie cutter strategies, like just running basic Facebook ads, for example, or just giving generic advice, is it works for a minority of people. It doesn't take into account all the nuances of your client's wealth structure, where they want to live when they retire, how many kids they have, or how many branches the business has, how many wealth managers they have, what kind of clients they prefer, what postcodes they're not allowed to instruct in. So yeah, I just think having a really good understanding of that and doing a good job for your clients is super important.
Agreed. Yeah. So if you were going to give one piece of advice to financial services firms, what would it be?
It's a good question. Mine would be to really understand what your goal is and work backwards from there. And then understand who you want to help and why you want to help them. And then build a scalable, technology-driven process in getting in front of those people, and ensure that you're building valuable content that people actually care about. As there's a lot of, as people say, like AI slop, like on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on everywhere basically now, you need to actually think about who are you trying to help and what is their biggest problem, and solve it for them. And something we've seen work extremely well is actually doing like live webinars or building out checklists, or basically doing a part of your service for free. And I know that sounds scary when you say free, because your time is valuable, as it should be as a financial service firm. But think about what's an entry point that you can maybe give them a quick audit or a quick strategy session or a quick, 5-point checklist on what they can implement tomorrow to do whatever it is that you do. And then just give that out to as many of your qualified prospects as you can. And the only way you can do that is at scale, by using paid media channels and other marketing acquisition strategies, of course. Because what that does is, we're talking about qualification a lot. It gives such a level of qualification and commitment from them, and it already enters them into your ecosystem, and you've given them a service, and they're like, well, Joe has already helped me achieve A, he might as well help me do B and C. And that's kind of what I would say.
I think that's really solid.
Thank you so much for joining, Joe. I hope
anytime
you guys listening found that valuable. And if any financial service firms are interested in understanding more about what Montage Digital do and how we can help you build scalable acquisition systems, there'll be a quick link in the description of this video. And what it will basically ask is a few questions about you and your firm. It will give you a tailored strategy on what you should be doing to generate more qualified leads. And there'll also be a way that you can book a call with me as well and have your own free strategy session. Thanks again, and see you in the next one.